everybody, welcome to Dad, Son, and a Game. I am Luke.
And I'm the dad, Joel. And today we're looking at...
DC Deckbuilder.
Okay, this is the DC Deckbuilder. And this game, I think got a little overshadowed because Marvel Legendary came out around the same time. This game is definitely different from that game. Whether it's better or worse is up to you to figure out for yourself. But I'm going to explain this game, and I'll tell you where, Luke and I'll tell you where it's a little strong. We've played both games quite a bit. So anyway, you're going to start off. This is the setup. I mean, the setup is this simple. You're going to have 3 piles of cards, and there's a big pile over here. I'm not sure that's quite in frame, but there's a big pile of cards that are just everything cards, and those come out in a 5 array at any given time. And it's like any other deck builder. You start with 10 cards, where there's like basically 7 currency and 3. They call them vulnerabilities in this game. So I get a hand, and I have 4 punches. Punches are worth one power. It says right here, but they cost nothing. They have no value. That's what this part of the card is right here. So in my hand here, I'd have 4 power to buy a card, or fight a villain or whatever. And these cards all come out with these power numbers on the bottom. So this is how simple the game is. If I have enough power to do what this card says, I can purchase it. There's always a kick available, which is like a Dominion Silver or one of the officers in Legendary. And really the main part of the game is that we have these super villains here that we're trying to defeat, which again is a little like Legendary, but we're trying to defeat a bunch of masterminds, not just one. And once this pile is gone, or once this pile of big cards is gone, the game's over. So in a turn, I will basically have my hand of cards, and I will purchase as many cards as I can, and then discard, clean up, get new cards, and repeat over and over again. But the kind of cool things about this are you get a superhero that is assigned to you. So for example, if I'm playing with Batman, so here's Batman, he gets perks whenever you have equipment. Or here is Superman. Superman gets perks whenever you get a superpower. So you play with these asymmetrical player powers, and you basically use your powers and use them in conjunction with the cards that come up. And at the end of the game, it's not cooperative, it's competitive. Whoever has the most points wins. The things that thematically kind of get a little weird about this game are that you put villains in your hand and use them to help get more power. I think the way how they kind of describe this is when you defeated that villain, you learned something or you became more powerful as a superhero. So you're using the power or something that you learned when you defeated that villain. So, I mean, with my hand of 4 here, I'll just show you a couple real quick. I mean, I have 4, so I'm going to go ahead and take superpower of Bulletproof from Superman. So then I would shuffle my cards up, and I have some vulnerabilities in there and punches. Here's my next hand, which I got a terrible hand. I only have 2 power in this one, 3 vulnerabilities. So, Cheetah comes out, and she's a villain, but I defeat her, and she allows me to get a card that costs 4 or less, which I know there's a card like that in the Dominion base set, the Smithy maybe, or I don't remember. I just made a bunch of people mad probably. And so I keep drawing my hand up, and oh, now I got some of my special cards in here. So I'll play it on Cheetah, and these cards all refresh. And her thing says gain any card with the cost of 4 or less in the lineup. Well, I've got some good choices here. So I've got, Super Speed, which is a superpower. I've got X-Ray Vision, which is a superpower. And then I have High Tech Hero, which is a really powerful card. But if I'm Superman and I want more superpower cards because they're going to buff up with me, I'm going to pick these superpower cards. So let's say I am Superman. I'm going to take Super Speed because that's going to give me 1 additional power whenever I play that. Plus, it allows me to draw more cards. So I'm going to take that with her power. And then with the rest of what I have left in my hand is I have 2 power, 3 power, 4 power, 5 power. Well, I don't refresh that card out. I have 5 power left. Well, again, I'm Superman, so I want more superpowers all the time. And I think I probably want buying power. Well, the kind of cool thing is a kick is a superpower. So Superman's going to get a kick. And then I keep working my way through, and eventually I'll be able to take out some of the supervillains. Okay, so the DC Deckbuilder, let's just get right down to what everyone wants to know. How does it compare to Marvel? Marvel Legendary, because that's what Everyone talks about it all the time. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. We played both games quite a bit, and here's what we think. What do you think about Marvel Legendary?
Marvel Legendary, it's okay, except for the thing that's better in DC Deckbuilder is the enemies come out with the, like, equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
But in Legendary, you have to go to the bridge to fight a certain enemy.
Yeah. Basically, for people who don't know a lot about both games, they came out within a few months of each other, and they both are card games that use the whole universe of Marvel and the whole universe of DC. I mean, that's not true. They use a chunk of the universe of each of those, and they basically thematically have made a game that is deck builder, and you start off with resources, and you build up your power, and you defeat villains, and they're real similar in a lot of ways. Just mechanically, like the draw cards and then do things with your cards is really similar, but Legendary is a more involved game because there's like resources, and then there's like power where you can fight certain villains, and so that's okay. DC though has just one currency. That's like the power, the ability to get equipment, get heroes to help you, but also the same power works for getting villains. So you do everything in one row or one spread of cards on the DC game, and so the cards seem to flip around a little faster, and there's less bookkeeping almost. But I guess the biggest thing is what I'll say about the games where they're really different is that in the DC game, you're going to pull out a whole stack of cards that are going to be the same every time, and there's just a bunch of them, and you're going to just lay them out and pick from them. Whereas in the Marvel game, you're going to use certain sets, shuffle them up, and get cards from them, or from those sets. And so Marvel probably has a little more replayability, truthfully, because there's just so many different sets that you can play with, and the Marvel game is going to expand better because things seamlessly integrate into it. But DC, however, is not set up that way. You probably could make it into certain sets, like have your villain sets, and then have villains that work together well, and then have maybe like Batman's cards go together, and Superman's cards go together, and Aquaman's, and etc. And then like generic heroes. But really, the games are designed to be two different things. I think the Legendary game, Marvel Legendary, is meant to be more of a medium weight deck building type game that is going to be real thematic, but it's going to involve more thought. It's going to involve more setup. It's going to be a bigger deal to play it. The DC game is you just lay it on the table and go. And so the DC game is just quick. You get a lot of the good gameplay parts of the Marvel game with DC. It's missing some stuff. I'm not going to say it does everything Marvel does, because it doesn't. But the thing is, it takes you, truthfully, it takes you 15 minutes of setup and teardown on the Marvel game. I mean, it probably takes you, a good 5 minutes to set it up and 10 minutes to tear it down and sort cards out. On this game, you can set it up in 3-4 minutes, and you can be playing it, play a game of it in about half an hour, then put it all away in about 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes, like 5 minutes. So it's just a quicker in and out of the box type thing. My numbers on that were way off. But, I mean, the idea there just being DC's a lot quicker. I mean, you just put it on the table, play it, scoop it all back up, and put it in the box, and it goes. So that's really, I think, a pretty cool thing about the DC game. What do you think?
Honestly, you made a point there that the DC game is a lot quicker. And something I really don't like in a game is when you take forever to set it up, then you only get to play for so-and-so long.
Yeah.
And you have to set it down again, which takes a long time. So you end up taking more time setting it up and down than actually playing. While DC Deck Builder, you can play a lot more than just...
That's the one thing DC definitely has going up for over Marvel, is the teardown and setup times are way quicker. As far as the games, I'm going to say Legendary is just a shade better, like half a tick better. as a game, but I don't know that it's worth all the extra setup and teardown time for me. And I'm only going to own one of these games, and it's going to be DC, because I'm not a huge fan of deck builders, and I've got enough other deck building games that go a little deeper. I've got, trains and things like that that are going to satisfy that need for a deeper deck builder. This one satisfies the need for a quick, not just totally a filler game, but not a heavy game either. Just kind of grab a game and, we've got half an hour, we've got 40 minutes. Let's play a quick round of DC. So that's the spot this is going to have in my collection for now. I wish there was a way that the two games could play together more nicely. I haven't played them together yet, but I've read that they don't play together very well yet. Because your odds of getting cards that work together very well are really low. And there's some balance issues in the second game. So as far as the first game goes, the one that we're looking at today, I like it. And I'm going to say I recommend it. I think it's worth checking out.
Honestly, one thing I have to say is I like DC Deckbuilder a little better. It could just be because I'm a little more familiar with DC than Marvel. But, one of the reasons, I guess, is because I kind of like the idea of having the villains and the equipment being together and the attacks at the same time. Because that's something that Legendary doesn't have.
Yeah, and the villains shuffle right into your deck. You don't have separate piles. So, that's what makes it kind of quick, too. And like I said, thematically, it's kind of weird. But it's like, hey, I learned something when I fought this boss. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on DC. I think it's probably pretty underrated and a little ignored because of Marvel coming out with the bigger box, the flashier packaging, and there's just, I think, a lot more Marvel fans out there than DC. The X-Men are just huge. We love Batman, so we're big Batman fans. So anyway, that's it. We'll catch you later.
Wait, what about our number ratings?
Go ahead.
My number rating on this is probably 8.4. Or wait, not 8 point. Yeah, 8.4.
8.4. He felt bad. He wanted to give it like a 4.8, but he was like, oh, shoot, 8.4. I'm going to say on my rating scale where a 19 is a perfect score, a 20 is a terrible game, a 2 is a little better than mediocre, and then going into the negatives, I'm going to give this game an 11.7. Yeah, I recommend it. I don't know how I'd rate it exactly, but it's a good game.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for watching, and we're going to start putting out regular content now. So, again, so subscribe maybe. Thanks. Bye.
Dad, I think I know where you got that, random